Hi, this is Pat Moorhead with More Insights and Strategy, and we are here for a special 6.5 Insider Edition. We are talking F1 US Grand Prix and tech. I am here with my incredible, articulate, intelligent, good-looking co-host, Daniel Newman, co-founder, brand poobah at Futurum Research. How are you, Daniel?
Hey, no worries. I'm doing really well, Pat, and thanks for all those kind words. The only one I really cared about was good looking or whatever you said, but I'll take intelligent too. But yeah, super exciting. Is it Monday? No, it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's Tuesday, Pat. It's Tuesday, and I'm still coming off the high that is the U.S. Grand Prix, watching cars go really fast and making beautiful sounds, at least if you're a gearhead like I am.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. A straight six can do this. I think the twin turbos and 10,000 RPMs help. But as we both follow our, it's funny. You're a heavy duty soccer fan. I would say I'm probably a heavy duty NFL fan. But I think we can all meet here on F1. And the cool part is that there's a lot of technology that's involved. And the great part is that means we get invited to events. I'd like to thank Splunk and Oracle for inviting Daniel and I to the grand event. But hey, we were not there just to watch the fast cars go by and watch my team, Red Bull, win. But we were also there to have some great conversations. So why don't we start with McLaren and Splunk? I mean, we had we started our F1 experience talking to the head of IT for Team McLaren, sitting there drinking coffee before we got on the bus, Daniel, and we got some pretty big insights. But there were some special things regarding F1 GP and Splunk and McLaren as well. But before we dive in, I'm gonna have to. I'm going to have to put this up here. So, Daniel, that is you and I getting on the McLaren-Splunk bus. Why Splunk is backwards, I have no idea. This is the magic of Google Photos, but this was us roughing it on the bus for the 2-hour trip in there. But anyways, I'm going to stop yapping. Let's talk tech.
Absolutely, Pat. And just real quick, because I know this is one of our special editions, but I do want to remind everybody the show is for information and entertainment. Don't take anything we say as stock advice. This is not a financial advice. This is us talking tech. This is us talking about some publicly traded companies that are doing super cool things in F1. And Pat, we looked really genuinely happy there. Now, I do have to frame that. This had nothing to do with any of the awesome sponsors and partners like Oracle and Splunk that got us to COTA, but there was a long, difficult drive in. I think the logistics, somehow after a year off and after, just having such a large event, I think this was the largest Grand Prix event ever for F1. I think I was reading that.
400,000 attendees.
400,000 attendees. They were struggling with some of the ins and outs, and the road into COTA is not necessarily conducive of this kind of traffic. You think about this is about 8 times an average NFL game attendance all coming in and converging on this location. So there's an opportunity for some technology, maybe a little quantum there for some city planning. Just throwing that out there, everybody, in case you are listening to this show. But yeah, Pat, we had the chance. We went over to the Proper Hotel, one of our favorite spots here, place that you, if you're ever in Austin, might catch Pat and I on a Friday afternoon, tying off the week. But we went over there, had a chance to meet with the team at McLaren, and this was a really good conversation. Now, we've worked with Splunk for a long time, and we've been tracking their data to everything platform. You're talking about a company that's all about observability, about intelligence, and being able to basically take all the data at your disposal and do more with it. So, Splunk as a whole, it's a very logical partnership for the company, and they began this partnership actually only about 18 months ago. And the idea was to get behind and utilizing their technology and data to help drive more performance from the F1 team. And so, Splunk, for those less familiar, and I talk about them from time to time, but they do work intimately with, I believe it's 92 out of 100 of the Fortune 100 companies. So despite the fact that Splunk has not become a household name yet, it is rapidly growing in all that it does. But let's talk about Formula One and where it fits in. So interestingly enough, the McLaren vehicle, and basically all the F1 vehicles and driver dependent, can go about 300 kilometers per hour. That's 185 miles an hour is what they're averaging. They can go faster than that, but that's what they race at. And the McLaren vehicle is the MCL 35M. This thing creates a terabyte and a half of data in just a matter of hours. So that basically means all this data is being used by what McLaren calls their technology center mission control that's back in the UK. So they have the little booth of technology people that you'll see if you actually watch the track. You see the little booth and all the screens and laptops and inside of the pit. But then there's another 30 engineers at mission control, and this data has to get from the vehicle to the compute over the cloud or over the infrastructure, get all the way back to the UK. It needs to be processed, and they're doing things, Pat, like deciding which set of tires to use throughout the race. And by the way, Lewis Hamilton losing by a fraction could have come down to a data-driven decision about when he pit and which tires to put on for that last set of laps that he did, right? Because he got caught in the pit that last time and never was able to catch up. These are those tiny little microcosms of data that these folks at Mission Control are looking at. And so these cars now, F1, by the way, these things are so light that a team of about 6 to 8 literally lift these things off the ground and turn them. It was amazing to watch. We've got some video we'll probably put in the show notes. But essentially, 300 sensors off these vehicles. And so you have a combination of sensors, data, you got prem infrastructure, cloud infrastructure, you got mission control on location, you got real-time data, low latency, and you've got basically decisions that a single tiny fractional decision, like which tire to put on during a pit change, could be the difference between someone finishing in first and someone finishing in second. And this week at this amazing race, that was proven to be true. Now, McLaren didn't make it into the top 3 because I believe it was the 2 Red Bulls and then Hamilton, right in the middle of the pack, Pat. But it was really great to get to know the team. This is a team that's made a ton of progress in the hosting, and the whole experience in the paddocks with the McLaren team was great, Pat. So a lot of really interesting stuff going on here. And by the way, Lando, one of their young drivers, very kind of well known in the circuit, Pat, kind of known as an esports guy too. So he's actually not only taking this data off the track, he's actually taking the eSIM and as a really a training methodology, which was pretty cool as I heard about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Splunk's doing some interesting data stuff, even with the video game side. It's interesting. I'll admit, 15 years ago, I wasn't a huge fan of F1, even though my team had to manage the Ferrari sponsorship at AMD. But if there's one thing that I learned, and by the way, I'm a total F1 nut right now, but if there's one thing that I learned is that these companies, none of these are just marketing engagements. So a couple of facts that should bring that home. So first and foremost, each team has a fixed operating budget. Okay. So, and if your tech burns up or you burn up an engine, you essentially get docked. So if you get the wrong technology, you actually have to go back and maybe dip into your engine budget to get the right tech. So that's true for Splunk, and that's true for Red Bull and Oracle. So Team Red Bull, my team Red Bull, did win. Max Verstappen won. It was a total nail biter because Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton was at the helm, but Oracle and Red Bull, Team Red Bull, from a data perspective, do things actually quite similarly when it comes to the data and the database. But I think the big new thing that hit at the U.S. Grand Prix was essentially this new application called the Red Bull Racing Paddock. And there are fans that are crazy. Right. I would say probably soccer fans are the craziest / football. If you're outside of the United States, they have allegiances, they've got flags, they're throwing bottles sometimes, waving flags. It's crazy. If you've never been to a pro soccer game in Europe, you have to do it to experience it. And I would say a little bit toned down version are F1 folks. They're popping off smoke that's out there, probably maybe a little bit better behaved than NASCAR. I don't know, but just absolute nuts. And essentially, this Red Bull Racing paddock application is a loyalty program that dishes up personalized content to the fans, and specifically uses Oracle crowd twist loyalty and engagement. So think about the connection between an Oracle and a Red Bull. You just don't make this connection, and it's a 5-year deal. So of course you would expect it, but imagine the pain after 5 years if it's not connected. So Oracle Red Bull has to make the right decision on the platform, let's say versus a Salesforce or something like that. But essentially, there's also gamification, right? The more content you create, the more games you take, the more games you play, the more points you get, and you can redeem all that for merch, okay? Digital, autographed items, and even some potential VIP experiences, which, Daniel, I think you and I both learned. It is a lot more fun to go VIP, but, I sat in the grandstands for a while with my son, and it was enjoyable as well. So net here, folks. It is quite hot, and it was super hot in Austin. So net folks, technology and F1 have a symbiotic relationship. I mean, Daniel, what do you think? There was 25 tech brands out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, we walked around and just like, hey, there's Citrix, hey, there's HPE, hey, there's Cisco, hey, there's Dell Technologies. I mean, it's funny because I guess NASCAR gets consumer packaged goods, F1 gets tech companies, and then you talked about soccer, or as the worldwide would call it, football. They seem to get a little bit of both. They get the airlines and the tech companies, but they also get some of the consumers and gambling brands. And Pat, I do want to just layer in there. You did make some really great points. Oracle and their OCI had been very on top of using the infrastructure to, enable advanced data analytics in the vehicle. But I like the fact that you brought up the Red Bull Honda partnership with Oracle and the customer engagement, because, I actually wrote about this, Pat, earlier in the year. The company is using the Oracle customer experience portfolio, including Unity, the CDP, including CrowdTwist for loyalty and engagement, including Responses for their campaign management. And what they've basically been trying to do is create this greater access, Pat. As we talk about running to the metaverse, right? Yeah. The first thing we need to do is just create ubiquitous access to experiences through our applications. And so these tools in real time are giving users the opportunity to become closer and more passionate about their sport.
Yeah, great stuff, Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I'm glad you layered in the OCI piece. And actually, I did go to an event on Wednesday at Oracle headquarters where they talked about OCI, and it's a huge thing. And it's more than fun and games. Bringing your best customers to an event is awesome, and it's even better when you bring your top analysts out to the track. But anyways, really appreciated a great learning experience, and looking forward to it next year.
Yeah, buddy, we've got to make it back, whether it's with our partners or on our own accord. The 6.5 racing team, and that's a true false of whether that's going to be a real thing.
You heard it here first. Is it not?
We are going to be at COTA a little more than ever before, and possibly testing out just how much data and analytics can drive better driving. So as a couple of passionate racers, Pat, it's not just about watching. Sometimes it's about participating. But what a time, what a weekend, buddy. And by the way, when you told me this was one of the reasons to come live in Austin, you weren't kidding. But I'm telling you, next year we need any of our partner, client, supervisory relationships, helicopter. Need a helicopter to get me in there, because that 2-hour drive from 15 minutes away was probably the only downside from the whole weekend.
There we go. There we go. You heard it here first. 6.5 Racing, is it real? Is it not? Is it fiction? Is it fact? I don't know, but it sure is fun to talk about, Daniel, and it would sure be fun to take on that COTA track. I love the curves. I love the hills. It looks like so much fun. I just got to make sure we don't kill ourselves, because that would be really bad. That would be a bad way to end this 6.5 podcast. But for everybody who's tuning in for this quick hit here, 15 minutes, I just want to thank you for tuning in. And you know where to send the compliments at Patrick Moorhead, and you know where to send all the divisive comments for improvement. That's at Daniel Newman UV. But we care about you and we love you, and we will see you at Friday at 8 a.m. Central for our weekly podcast.
100th episode, dude. 100th episode, and it's going to be an earnings blast.
It's going to be huge. We better find out. Maybe a giveaway, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
A car. Maybe a Red Bull Honda race car.
Here we go. Let's ask. Yeah, it'll be that big. Anyways, thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week.
See ya.